Hello. So, House of the Dragon season 2 is officially over. I had a lot of thoughts as I watched this episode. Hopefully, this video doesn't get too rambly. As per usual, there are spoilers for this episode entitled The Queen Who Ever Was and Fire and Blood, the book the House of the Dragon is based off of. I think the best way to break this down is to divide it up into the good, the bad, and the meh. I don't think I did that for the last two episodes, but I think to help keep things coherent here, I'm going to do that. There were a lot of really good scenes in this episode that I would like to highlight. So I enjoyed seeing how the dragon seeds are handling being given key positions in Rhaenyra's army. I really liked the scene where Jace berates Ulf for not taking things seriously. I kind of like the edge that they have been adding to Jace these last two episodes. I also really liked the feast that we see afterwards, where Rhaenyra talks to the Dragon Seeds and Jason Bela about what Team Black's strategies are going to be going forward. I also feel this scene kind of shows the writers trying to add some moral ambiguity to Rhaenyra. So when she's discussing plans, she kind of brings up attacking the Westerlands and Old Town, which are the seats of power for House Lannister and House Hightower, respectively. Bela mentions that innocents might be caught in the crossfire, and Rhaenyra says that more will die if the war doesn't end quickly. Rhaenyra does have a point here. I do see where she's coming from, where a quicker war is better versus like a long, knockdown, drag out situation. However, it's still, like, for me anyway, it feels kind of weird to think about things in that way. There's an interesting line towards the end of the episode from Rhaenyra that I think also kind of contributes to this. However, that line comes in a scene that I really didn't like. We'll talk about that later. We also see Alan giving Corlys a piece of his mind in regards to how Corlys wasn't really around for Adam and Alan while they were growing up. I really felt for Alan here when he tells Corlys that him and Adam had nothing while they were growing up, and how he would always see Corlys out and about with Laena and Laenor, and how well cared for those two were in comparison to Alan and Adam. That really kind of hit me into feels. We also see Tywin Lannister negotiating with the Triarchy in Essos. It was fun to have a change of setting from our usual rotation of King's Landing, Dragonstone, and Harrenhal. The characters that they introduced were fun. There was kind of a Pirates of the Caribbean type vibe. I liked Zohar, I want to say her name was. She had this cute running gag of calling Thailand by her own name. It was cheesy, but it did make me smile. We also have this really interesting conversation between Kristen Cole and Gawain Hightower. They talk about how vows are kind of hard to keep, especially to the standards of Westerosi chivalry. It hit me in the feels when Kristen talks about how destructive the war is becoming and about how everyone is doomed. The two also talk about Kristen's relationship with Alicent, and there's this sweet moment where Kristen talks about how Alicent stopped him from unaliving himself back in season 1, and about how ever since then she's kind of been this, like, beacon for him. I thought it was, like, really sweet, and it does show how much he cares about Alicent. I also really liked this conversation between Aemon and Helena. So he asked her to join the war on her dragon Dreamfire. Helena does not want to do this. They talk about it out on the balcony, and she basically kind of tells Aemon everything is going to happen to him in the next few seasons, basically. It seems like her psychic abilities are getting stronger. I wonder if that's something to do with, like, the psychological trauma that she experienced with witnessing her son's murder. Kind of like similar to how Bran's abilities were awakened after the physical trauma of being pushed out a window. I like how she calls out Aemond for trying to kill Aegon. He needed to hear that. So now on to the bad stuff. I feel like I need to set the stage here. So Alicent decides to go negotiate with Rhaenyra after Aemond tries to enlist Helena's help with Tingren's war efforts. Helena isn't a fighter, so Alicent not wanting Aemond to drag her into war makes sense. I understand her being willing to talk to Rhaenyra after their conversation back in episode 3, where Rhaenyra wanted peace. I'm also kind of willing to accept that she would turn her back on Aemond, given everything that has happened so far this season. But as you will see, where this conversation ultimately ends up going, I just can't vibe with it. So Alicent asks Rhaenyra to allow her, Helena, and Jaehaera to leave the city in exchange for allowing Rhaenyra to take King's Landing in the Iron Throne. She thinks that she can get Aegon to bend the knee to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra says that she can't allow Aegon to live after everything that has happened. So in this scene, along with a few others, there were leaks that had spread onto the internet about mid last week. Based off where the clip of this scene ended, I thought that the negotiations would end there. However, in the full scene, Alicent agrees to allow Rhaenyra to execute Aegon. What really got my goat here is when Rhaenyra brings back the a son for a son line and Alicent's reaction to it. I mean, like, are we forgetting baby Jaehaerys? In my opinion, like, that is paid. Like, a child from both sides has died. I wish that Alicent had brought up that fact when Rhaenyra mentioned it. As previously stated, I had my own kind of thoughts and opinions on where this scene would go based off the leaked clip. I thought that Alicent wasn't going to agree to this and that it would lead to her leaving and having to come up with her own plan now that she can't trust Aemond or Rhaenyra to keep Helena, Aegon, Jaehaera, and Daeron safe. It would have been a neat kind of like empowerment arc to see her stepping outside of what either Rhaenyra or Otto might expect of her. As previously hinted at, though, I did find Rhaenyra bringing a son for a son back to be an interesting moment for her character, but that's really all the scene had going for it. So now that I've ranted about the Rhaenyra and Alicent conversation, let us move on to aspects of the episode that I am not too sure about. Okay, so Harrenhal is probably the best place to start. So Alice Rivers has Daemon place his hands on a weirwood tree so that he can see the future. He sees a few noteworthy images. He sees himself falling into a deep pool of water, which represents his death at the battle over the God's Eye. He sees the White Walkers. He sees a three-eyed crow and a man of a birthmark. There's also a girl with 3 dragons, and he also sees Rhaenyra in her adult form. So the girl with the dragons, that's obviously Daenerys from OG Game of Thrones. The man of a birthmark is a man named Brynden Rivers, aka Bloodraven. He appears, I want to say, without his birthmark in Game of Thrones, and he's also going to be in the upcoming Duncan Egg / A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms show. I'm not sure how to feel about all these references to Game of Thrones. There's always been call forwards. I mean, season 1 does have the Prince that was promised prophecy being brought up, and that influences several plot lines in the OG series. However, with Daemon's visions and one of Lohar's nicknames for Tywin being Tywin, it kind of feels like too much. Like, let House of the Dragon be its own thing, stop dragging Game of Thrones into it. I'm also not sure about how I feel about Daemon deciding to fully commit to Rhaenyra based on seeing the White Walkers and starting to believe in prophecy. It feels like the writers just wanted to bring them back together and to end their separation storyline. Also, Daemon, as you remember from the season 1 finale, he doesn't really believe in prophecy. So I don't know. I mean, yes, he's seen a lot at Harrenhal, but him completely buying into it, I don't know, it just doesn't fully click with me. Actually, I kind of liked Rhaena's camping adventure in the Vale. The Vale scenery is really pretty, and it kind of had like an adventure vibe with Rhaena. However, I do wish we would have actually got to see her claim sheep stealer. I kind of felt like I was left hanging there. Sorry about my phone. I also want to address Aegon. So he was convinced by Larys to leave the city before Aemond can kill him. I really liked the conversation a lot until Aegon got a bit too TMI with some of his injuries. Like, I did not need to hear that. I felt like it was just there for kind of sort of gross out humor. Had they not had that line, I would have like absolutely loved that scene between him and Larys. Also, this may be cheesy, but I did kind of like the ending montage. It did what it needed to do, which was make me curious about season 3, and the music was also great. However, I also feel like since there's a lot of setup for an upcoming battle, it felt like something that would have been better if this was the penultimate episode of the season instead of the finale. I don't know. It's just me, I guess. I don't know, it just felt like kind of like a mediocre ending to an otherwise really enjoyable season, in my opinion. There are a lot of fun conversations, some nice scenery changes, and a neat montage set to some pretty music. However, the not so great elements kind of ruined the rest of the episode, I'm not gonna lie. The optimistic parts of me are excited for season 3. The setup that we do see is really interesting, and I am curious to see what they do with Alicent and Aegon and Daemon. Those 3 are the ones I have a lot of questions about, and Helaena. There are also, it's hard for me to make predictions because there are so many changes from the books. So yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for season 3, and in spite of everything in this episode, I guess. Overall, I would give this episode a 6. Thank y'all for watching my reviews this season. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day. Bye.